My name is Viral Shah and welcome back to my channel Render Rebels.
We are going to continue now with our materials part. I have created one more box here as you can see. Now let's create a glass material for part tracing. So we are going to click on this. Now we are going to go to our content drawer. Let's go to our material folder. Let's right click here and let's create a new material. Let's name it to m underscore glass underscore pt for part tracing. Now let's just apply this to our selection here. So we are going to scroll down and apply to our glass here. Now you can see it's looking something like this here. Let's just double click it here. Now let's just create our glass material here. So let's just dock it over here. We are going to right click and promote base color to our parameter. We are going to right click and promote the specular also. We are going to right click and promote the roughness here. Now we are going to change the properties of this material. So let's just change from opaque to translucent here. Let's just make sure that it is two-sided here and scroll downwards and just change the lighting mode to surface forward shading. Now let's just right click on opacity and promote that to parameter as well. And now we are going to add our index of refraction for glass. To do that, again click on the main material here. Just search here for refraction, and as soon as you do that you will find a refraction method here. Just change it to index of refraction and now just right click and promote this to parameter as well. Okay, now let's just save this master material. Let's just close this here. You can see it's looking like this here. Now let's just create a material instance so we can tweak the values for the glass. So just right click and create a material instance here. Now let's just apply this instance to our perfume glass here. Now we are going to double click it here. We are going to turn on all the parameters here. First, we are going to give a base color of 0.05. So you can say it's looking something like this in the color. Now let's just click OK. Let's just give a opacity of 0.02 or 0.05. Okay. Now let's just change the index of refraction of glass, which is 1.53 or 52. Let's just give a small bit of roughness of 0.01 and let's just take the specular to 1 now. Let's just save this material. Now to apply this material to see it in part tracing, you need to switch from lit to part tracing here. And now you can see we are getting something like this in our part tracing mode. You need to tweak settings of part tracing. As you guys can see, it's taking a little bit long to render the part tracing. So let's just add a post-process volume and let's just reduce the samples for the test purpose. So let's just switch to lit mode. Let's add a post-process volume by going to visual effects and adding a post-process volume. Let's just search for path here. And we are going to activate all these samples here. Okay, now we are going to reduce the max bounce to, let's say, 8. And we are going to go for samples of 200 here. Let's just deactivate our depth of field for now. So we are going to deactivate our depth of field also. So let's just deactivate that. So let's just go to our focus settings here. And let's just make sure it is disabled here. And now we can see this glass is looking really good. Let's just see from another angle also. So let's just switch to our perspective and here we will see how it is looking. So let's just do a part tracing here also. And now you can see we are getting some really good glass material here. And if you want, you can apply the same material which is applied here. This is our material glass and it will be like a empty bottle or something like that. If you want, you can do that also. And it's looking good by default. And if you feel that your glass material is dark here, what you can do, you can go to your post-process volume. You can search for your part tracing here and you can basically take the max bounces to like 16 and you can see it's getting lighter here and we are getting this caustics also in our glass material. Now let's just create other materials as well. So let's just again click on lit mode. We are going to apply a wood material over here and a plastic material to this cylinder here. So let's just do that. For that, we are going to use our mega scans. So we are going to go to our Quixel bridge here. I have already downloaded some materials for from Megascans. You can also do the same. So I'm going to take this red plastic here. We are going to download this in highest quality. We are just going to add it to our scene, and now we are going to drag and drop to our scene here. So we are going to do this to all the objects that we are seeing here. Okay, and now you can see it's looking something like this in part tracing. Now I want to tweak the UVs of this also, because right now the UVs are stretched, as you can see here. So I'm going to go to my modeling mode here, and I am going to go to my UVs, and I'm going to do a project UVs of a cylinder here, and just reset the dimensions, and just I'm going to click on accept here. And as you can see, now we are getting the scratches and all that stuff here, and you can see it here also. Now we are going to reduce the saturation of this material, so let's just do that here as well. So let's just double click on our material here, and let's just switch to lit mode again. Okay, now let's just go to our albedo controls, and let's just decrease the saturation to around zero point 0.7, and this is looking good here. Let's just see in part tracing also. Okay, this is looking something like this. I want a orange tint here, so I'm going to switch on the albedo tint and go it to something around this in orange color. Okay, Unreal Engine crashed on me, so I am just going to fast forward and apply the materials again quickly, and I will be right back. Now we are going to create some more materials, so let's just switch to sign camera actor again, and now we are going to create material for this wooden frame here. So let's just do that also. So we are going to go to our pixel bridge again. We are going to import this plywood now, and we are going to apply this to our scene here. Now let's just apply this plywood to our window frame. And as usual, we are going to do the UVs of this windows. So just select this window, go to your modeling mode, go to your UVs and do a project UVs here. And we are going to do a box and reset the dimension here. Now I'm going to tweak the U and V's in the gizmo itself. So we are going to do that here. So we are going to go to our scale mode here, and let's just tweak this here. Let's just do it here, and let's just rotate this to 90 degrees. So we are going to do that also. So we are going to rotate it to 90 here, and you can say this is looking something like this here. And now I'm going to resize it here, something like this and something like this here. Okay, now let's just accept it. Let's just save the scene. We are going to double click it again, and I want a dark material here. So we are going to override the albedo tint, a dark blue, something like this here. Okay, let's just click on OK now, and let's just give a specular here. So we are going to increase the max roughness to around 0.75, so we get the roughness here, and we are going to take the base specular to 1. So we are getting this result here, and now we will tweak our specular from albedo override. Now let's just close this. Let's just save this again. Now let's apply a concrete material to our floor here. So let's just again go to our selection mode, again go to our pixel bridge. Let's just import this fresh wall plaster here. Let's just add it to our scene, and let's just apply this material also. And I am downloading the highest quality here, so we get the maximum quality when we render out our scene. So let's just apply this to our floor here, and now I am going to tweak the UVs of this also. So I am going to go to our modeling, our UVs, and I'm going to do a project UV, reset the box dimensions and just accept it here. Okay, so this is looking nice here. Now we are going to make this material also darker. So we are going to double click it here, and we are going to do a albedo tint also to this darker blue color, something like this. Okay, so let's do something like this here. And if you want, you can also again give some roughness also. So reduce the roughness to 0.75, and we will get some really good reflection on the floor also. I don't want this much bump into our scene. As you can see, bump is way too high. So let's just decrease the normal strength to around 0.2 here. And this is looking nice here. Let's just save the material and let's just apply all this thing to our wall also. Okay, and we are going to do the UVs of this if we are going to animate, but in this scene we are only going to see this part. So I'm going to just do a project UVs of this box and just accept it here and go to our part tracing. You can see we are getting some really good result here. Okay, so now let's just switch again to our lit mode here. Okay, now we are going to go to selection mode and now we are going to do some lighting here. So let's just save the scene. Now for lighting stuff, we are going to just disable this lighting which we have already done here, and we are going to use our own lighting system here. So for that we are going to create our HDRI, a gray HDRI, and then we are going to use our area lights to create our scene lighting basically. So let's just open Photoshop. Now we are going to click on new file here. We are going to get a resolution of 4000 width and 2000 height. We are going to make sure that color mode is set to 32-bit. By default, it is set to 8-bit. So let's just do 32-bit and let's just create it here. Now we are going to apply basically medium gray color to this canvas. So let's just do that here. So let's just double click it here and we are going to make sure that we are going something like this here, and make sure that your intensity, color picker intensity should be 0 stops here. Don't increase this intensity and let's just press OK. Now go to edit and let's just click on fill here and let's just click OK. And now you can see we are getting this color into our background here. Now let's just save this HDRI and import it to our Unreal Engine scene. Now to import your HDRI after saving it from Photoshop, just right click here and just import and select your HDRI. So let me do that also. And now you can see I have imported my HDRI here. So let's just apply this HDRI to our skylight. So let's just go to create. Let's just go to lights and let's just drop a skylight here. Let's switch to SLS specified cube map and let's just import this HDRI to our skylight here. So let's just click in cube map here and now you can see we are getting this skylight into our scene. But as you guys can see, it's getting a auto exposure. So let's just manage that before starting the lighting purpose. So let's just go to our post process volume here. Let's just go to exposure. Let's just turn on the exposure compensation and make sure that minimum EV and maximum EV is set to 1/1. So we get the equal exposure, and let's just turn on the infinite bound to apply this settings. And now you can see we are getting something like this. Let's just save the scene here. Let's just again switch from lit to part tracing so we can see how our skylight is looking into our scene here. And as you can see, it's looking something like this. Now let's just increase our skylight a bit. So let's just go to our skylight and let's just switch to movable first. And let's just do a intensity scale of 3. And you can see we are getting this really 360-degree gray lighting into our scene with the help of our HDRI. Now we are again going to switch to lit mode here. We are going to save this and now we are going to introduce a area light. I am having reference in my second monitor and I am going to do the lighting as per my reference only. You can also open your own reference and do the lighting part here. So we are going to go to create lights and let's just create a rectangle light into our scene. Now to move the rectangle light into your scene, you can pilot this light, but before doing that, I'm going to switch to movable here. I'm going to make sure that my source width and height is not that much because I want strong shadows as per my reference here. Now I am going to go to my light here, right click and just pilot rectangle light. And now I'm going to pilot that light somewhere over here. And as you can see in my second reference, I am seeing how my light is going to look into my scene. So I am going to do something like this into my scene. Okay. And this is looking nice. So let's just increase the intensity a bit. Let's just go to 50. Okay. Let's just click on lit and let's just do a part tracing again to see how our light is looking. Let's just press G here. So we hide our gizmos and our light icons here. So this is looking nice. Okay, let's just again switch back to our lit mode. I am going to darken this material here. So I'm just going to double click it and just going to dark it out a bit more. So we can get something like this here. Okay. And now I am going to basically play with the lighting properties here. So we are going to just decrease the radius here of our light. I want something like this into our scene. I don't want my light to go all the way till here. So I'm doing something like this here. And I'm going to just drop the barn angle and barn lead to 0 and 0 here. So is it's like my basically offline render engines like Arnold and Corona. Okay, now let's just again do a path tracing and you can see this is looking really good. So this is my main light, my key light. Now let's add just a fill light so we can light the scene evenly. So I'm going to switch again to my lit mode. Let's just save our scene here by pressing Ctrl S. Don't worry about the color grading and all that part. We are going to cover that in next video. Our focus is on lighting at this moment. So let's just add one more light. So let's just go out of our rectangle light here. Let's just create one more light here. So let's just go to create lights and let's just add a rectangle light again. Okay, let's just decrease the source width and height to around 35 by 35. Okay, let's just do this to 0 and 0. Okay, now let's just right click and switch this to also pilot. Okay, and I'm going to take it around here. Okay, something like this. Okay, and I'm going to reduce the intensity of this because it's a fill light here. Okay, and my secondary light or fill light, you can say whatever you want. So let's just take it up to 4 here, or let's just take it up to 3. Now let's just do a light test again. So let's just do a path tracing render and you can see this is looking really good. As you can see, this is looking not that good on this pillar here. So I'm going to tweak the material because the shine is way too much. So let's just tweak this material here. Let's just go to lit mode again. Let's just open our material here and let's just tweak the roughness here. So we are going to just increase our minimum roughness because I want a rough surface, something like this. And let's just save this here. And now let's just do a path tracing render again. And now you can see this is looking nice. Okay. Now I will add one more light, overall fill light. Okay. So it can fill our whole scene here. And then I will tweak my material colors and all that stuff for my final look here. So I am going again, go to lit mode here. I am going to add one more light here. So I'm going to go to lights and let's just add a rectangle light again. And this time I'm going to take this light to upward side, something like this. So basically it's a 3-point light setup, as you know, 3-point studio light setup. And I'm going to do something like this here. I'm going to do a movable. I want attenuation radius to focus just on this objects only. And I will take this to 0 and 0. And now I'm going to reduce it to around 4 here. And this is looking really good. Let's just increase the width here. Okay. So it covers the whole level here. Okay. Something like this. And let's just take it upwards a bit. Okay. Now you can see how this is affecting our scene. So let's just take it to 6, maybe 8. Okay. You need to play with the lightings to get the result that you want as per your reference here. So this is looking nice overall. Now I am going to do some material changes here. So I can see how my lighting is affecting my materials also. So let's just double click it here and let's just do a albedo tint and let's just increase it something like this. Now you can see this is looking nice. Okay. So let's just take this saturation down here and this is looking nice overall. Okay. Let's just save this and let's just close this. Okay, now the last step we are going to do, we are going to add color to our light. So let's just take our key light here and we are going to tweak the color of this. So let's just use our color temperature here, and let's just take it to a orange tone. Okay, something like this here. And I'm going to take my fill light, both fill lights, and I'm going to do a temperature of a cooler tone. So let's just take it around 8000. And now you can see this is looking nice, really. And I'm going to take this to around 4800 or something like that. Okay, and if you want, you can also take the attenuation radius a bit longer, so you can see this is having this light effect here. So we can also increase our overall skylight intensity also to, let's say, 5, and now you can see this is looking good. Okay, now let's just switch again to our part tracing, and this is looking something like this here. Now, before ending this session, I am going to add a bit more contrast into my scene for the lighting to look better. So for that, we are going to go to our post process. We are going to scroll downwards here, and we are going to add a highlight contrast, a shadow contrast, and a detail strength here. And let's just take the detail strength to 1.4 so we can have some really good contrast into my scene here. And I'm going to do a highlight contrast of something like this into my scene, and I'm going to make sure that my middle gray bias is set to 1 here. Okay, let me show you guys what lighting I have done for my final scene here, so you guys can know that how exactly that light was created. So let me open that level for you, and as you guys can see, this is how my final lighting setup is looking. I have done the same thing here. I have imported HDRI into my skylight. I am having one fill light, one fill light here. You can see the color of this fill light is a bit of red here. You can see one more light is here, which is a white color, and my key light is here. And as you can see, the intensity is around 15 here, and I am having a temperature of cooler temperature here, and this is how it is looking. And you can see I have also applied the same material here. So let me show you my material properties for that liquid part also. So let me show you that also to you guys. So let me just open that material for you. So let's just double click it here, and you can see this is how it is looking. My opacity is set to 0.05, refraction index is 1.52, roughness is 0.01, specular is around 1, and my base color is around yellow color. And for that reason, I'm getting this yellow tint in this. So if I show you one more render of this, you will get the idea of how actually the render looks. So let me just switch to a close-up view here, and now you can see this is how it is looking basically. And let me just disable the depth of field here so you can see better. Now you can see this is looking something like this. Let me show you my final render after color grading and all that stuff, so you can know how beautiful part tracing render looks. So now you can see this is how our final product will look after color grading and post process and Photoshop final touches. In next video, we are going to cover post-process volume settings, some color grading in post-process volume, and then we are going to render it out with the help of movie render queue and part tracer settings. And at last, we are going to open it in Photoshop and going to apply color LUT to our renders. So until then, see you next time. Bye bye guys.